Boom. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what the secret sauce is to building companies and cultures that win? I do too. And that's what this episode's all about. Let's get this one started. Here we go.
Shut up and sit down.
Look, a business can give you everything you want in life. Prestige, wealth, freedom. It can also take everything away from you. This show is for those who are willing to take that risk. These are the real life stories of entrepreneurs. But before we start, I have one small favor to ask. Please leave a comment. It can be advice, critiques, tips, feedback, or share this with someone because your engagement is the most valuable and most powerful form of social currency. So thank you, and welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Right, business bros. In today's electrifying episode, we're going to dive into the world of a leader who's mastered the art of turning challenges into stepping stones. From his early days in the U.S. Army to shaping the future of businesses through his best-selling books. With a career marked by strategic genius, transformative leadership, and a knack for driving unprecedented growth, he's not just played the game, he's changed how it's played. So buckle up as we talk to the CEO advisory guru himself, Mr. Adam Coffey. All right, Adam, and just like that, we can start the show, man. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Hello to all your listeners out there. I am ready to rock and roll. Let's get this party started.
Let's do it, man. First question I always ask everyone who comes on the show is here to talk about their product, service, what they're doing to change the world. What is that for you?
You know, listen, I'm a guy, you covered a lot of it, veteran U.S. Army. I spent 10 years working for Jack Welch in the heyday of GE. I was a CEO for 21 years. I built 3 national companies for 9 private equity sponsors. I bought 58 companies. I have 2.5 billion, that's billion with a B, billion in exits. And so, you know, after building companies for like decades, I got bored, man. I really got bored building one company at a time. I wanted to help entrepreneurs succeed. And so I kind of switched my paradigm a couple years ago. I said, hey, world, I'm done being a CEO. 2.5 billion in exits is enough. It's time to focus my rest of my working days and career on giving back and helping entrepreneurs, next generation entrepreneurs, learn how to be successful and beat the odds. And so that led me to my 3 #1 best-selling books. They're up there. And spending the rest of my days working with people like you, audiences like yours, trying to help preach the gospel according to business and capitalism and teach people how to make money.
All right, man. That's some exciting stuff. And, the funny thing is your resume is pretty crappy. I don't know how anybody would ever hire you when you don't have any kind of experience. I'm just playing. Obviously, that is amazing. Like, I mean, the type of experience you have is exactly what people want to look for when they're looking for a mentor. Somebody who's already done it, somebody who has that experience and can take you or your company to that level that you want to go to. So who's that ideal client that you're looking for? What kind of entrepreneur? Are we talking at the very beginning phases? We talking mid-sized companies? Who's that target audience you're looking for?
It really runs the gambit. I'm working with the world's largest private equity firms today, helping them decide where to make investments, helping them by coaching their CEOs of their portfolio companies sitting on their boards. But I'm also working with entrepreneurs with less than $1 million in revenue, and people who are just starting out. And my last book was called Empire Builder, and it was about how to get out of the gates. The world has got some scary statistics. There's 33 million small businesses in the United States. Only 7% ever get to $1 million in revenue. Only 40% are profitable. Only 50% will be here 5 years from now. And so it's like the odds seem to really be stacked against success. And so most of my focus lately has been on, call it the startup stage, getting out of the gates, getting traction, getting to the first $1 million, something that 93%, of all entrepreneurs fail to do, and then how to get to 10 million, then 100 million, and then 1 billion. And so I'm working with all different kinds of size businesses, and it's been a lot of fun. And I think my specialty area is kind of those people who are learning how to scale for the first time, learning about doing mergers and acquisitions, contemplating that first big exit, and needing help kind of on that journey. And I think you said it best already. It's like in life, you can learn from those people who teach theory, or you can learn from people who've walked in your shoes and have walked the road that you seek to travel. Some people call me an exit Sherpa.
I love it. An exit Sherpa. Look, this is the exit. Follow me. Let me show you how to get there. Let me ask you about that, because there's a lot of companies that might be able to get to 1 million in revenue, but that revenue number is just that. It's a revenue number. And you mentioned it earlier. You're like, look, 40% of them are even profitable. You can make $1 million and keep none of it. It doesn't make you a good company. You've been in a situation where you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, probably some who are in very similar situations. How do you help, or I should say, what's the common problem that you see over and over again amongst these entrepreneurs that seem to hit that plateau of revenue but not have that profit margin that you're hoping for?
Well, a lot of people think, it's a great question. A lot of people think, and they tell me, hey, Adam, I'll figure out how to make money once I get bigger. And I'm like, no, wrong. It's like, if you want to build a successful big business, you got to start by building a successful small business. And so my roadmap, my formula for success, think of it this way: invest in needs, not wants. I want to build a company that's focused on people's needs, because when the economy goes south, if it's a want, hey, I want new truck. I got a monster truck out there, a 700 horsepower Ram TRX. I need new tires, and they got to be bigger, but that's a want. If the economy's south, if I get laid off, guess what? Them old tires are on that truck. They're just fine. But if I got a roof leak and it's raining out and it's raining on my head in here in my office, I got to fix the roof whether I'm broke or not. And so it's like, we need to build empires that are focused on needs, not wants. Contracted revenue better than project-based revenue. And, in addition to that, it's like most entrepreneurs fail because they don't get their unit level economics right. They got to get a company, smallest common denominator. Can I be profitable? And I talk about this thing I call the 30-20-10 rule. My business needs to make at least 30% gross profit, and it has to have less than 20% SG&A, or back office, sales expense and back office expense. And at a very minimum, it's got to make a dime on a dollar. And if I can't do this at the smallest unit level, I'm never going to be able to scale and build a big, successful business. So the key, even if you got $1 million in revenue today, or 10 million, if you're not highly profitable, you have to peel back the layers of the onion, figure out, according to the 30-20-10 rule, where is my business off? If I don't have 30% gross profit, I need to focus on price and lowering my cost to service revenue. If I've got 30% gross profit or higher, but I'm not making 10 cents on a dollar, my back office expense, my customer acquisition expense, my management expense is too high. I have to figure out how to lower that. And so there's so much that we can learn, but the key to success is, if I build it right small, I guarantee you it will scale and it will go. And you like that AI stuff? Watch this, man. Fireworks.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, so it's like, if I can build a small business successfully, I guarantee you can build a big business, that's that much more successful. But if it doesn't work small, the problems get amplified when we get bigger.
And it's funny, in almost anything you do, they always come back to the fundamentals, right? I played baseball as a kid. As I got to higher and higher levels, I noticed it was more and more on the fundamentals. Same thing in business. The people who I talk to who've exited companies, it always comes down to the simple fundamentals. What is your customer acquisition process? Do you have a sales team and a sales process in place? Do you have SOPs to be able to scale? And a lot of those things I don't think is second nature or comes natural to entrepreneurs who are getting started in this space. But as I talk to more people like yourself, more and more, it's like, look, these are the things that you usually come across when you're talking to a mentor that they see that you don't. Am I off here? Like, you've talked to a lot of different entrepreneurs.
No,
when you look at a picture,
you are
you
so
seeing
right.
that?
And when you listen to my, whether it's, on a podcast like this, or read one of my books, or work with me one-on-one, I'll tell you that, success is based on, call it common denominators and just getting the basics dialed in and right. And it sounds so basic and so simple, yet so few people do it and practice it. It's like, it's like, again, I'll go back to that needs versus wants and contracted revenue versus project-based revenue. If I have a recurrent revenue, think something that's not sexy. Think pest control. Every month, somebody, I hit their credit card, every month, all my customers, all my revenue comes in like the first 5 minutes of the month because I'm billing everybody's credit cards. And then once every 3 months, I'm going out to every location and I'm spraying, and I'm spraying their property. And when I go through the hassle of acquiring a new customer, it's additive on top of the other ones I've already got. If I'm a project-based business and the project's done, I need a new client to replace the old one where the project just ended. So it's like basic things. And then building, finding my unit level economics. So like in that pest control company, it's one truck, it's one dude, one truck, one sprayer. How much revenue can I generate with that one truck? And what are the costs for that person, their benefits, and the operating costs of that truck? And can I make 30%? Can I make 30 cents on a dollar revenue? If I can, I got a business, I'm cooking with gas. And then it's like, okay, how many trucks do I need to make $1 million in revenue? How many trucks do I need to make 10 million in revenue? What are my capital equipment costs to buy the trucks, the sprayers, the stuff I need to get to $1 million, to get to 10 million? And when I take a business and I break it down into like just a basic little simple formula, it seems like brain numbingly easy, but so few people do it and understand what the true costs of their business are. They don't know how to price. They don't know what the price of their product should be because they don't know what their unit level economic costs are. They don't have a formula to get to $1 million or 10 million, and they don't have a destination in mind. I'm a pilot. When I take off, I don't take off unless I know where I'm going. And when I start a business, that's the biggest problem that entrepreneurs have is I start a business, but I don't know where I'm going. It's like I'm planning my exit from day one. I'm going to 4 million in earnings. I'm going to 10 million in earnings. I'm going to sell it for 32 million. I'm going to sell it for 120 million. And then I deconstruct the journey. And I go back down to what's the unit level economics? What's the formulas that are going to get me there? And I make success very formulatic. It's very driven. It's very easy to understand. And when I get done teaching, and teaching people how to do this, it's like, they're like, duh, it's like, why didn't I figure that stuff out before? It's like success does not have to be a mystery. 93% of businesses don't need to struggle to get to $1 million. You can make a ton of money if you just understand the basics. And the problem is most people in life, they learn the basics through the school of hard knocks and they don't understand how to get there.
One of my mentors has a great line that he says, there's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million execution. And as I'm hearing you talk right there, that's exactly what you're talking about. Those fundamentals, those core things are part of what takes your company to that next level. Now, sometimes when we're growing, we want that additional help. And we can get it in a lot of different ways. We can get it in partnerships. We can get it in mentorships. We can get it in equity shares. I mean, the most popular thing would be like a Shark Tank when you bring on somebody who's already done it before. Now you have something in your books about private equity, the significance of it in that PE pyramid. Can you talk a little bit about what stages you might want to give up equity and what stages you might want partnerships, what stages you might want coaching and mentorship?
Yeah, sure. So I think today's world, entrepreneurs are more accepting of coaching and mentorship than ever before. And I think everybody today, it's like understands the value in learning from others. And I think social media has helped with that for sure. And it's made the world smaller. So people are more open to getting help. So I think coaching starts day one. It's like, if you've got a business, you want to grow a business, have people in your circle who have done, what you're seeking to do, learn from them, and I think the most expensive equity in the world we can give up, is the smaller we are, the more expensive equity becomes. And so when I think about partnerships, so the 58 companies I bought, some common themes, a lot of entrepreneurs who do find success, they get to $1 million, they get to 10 million, they top out, at like 20 to 30 million. And part of the secret to success and getting out of the gates and being strong is, I hate to say it, but they're anal retentive control freaks. And it's like, I control every aspect of everything, and it replicates this success that I'm having. But I get up to about 20, 30 million in revenue, and then all of a sudden I top out. I don't have any more bandwidth, and my style needs to change if I'm going to bust through that glass ceiling. And I tell people I'm not a classical music fan, but it's a great analogy. In an orchestra, you've got sections like woodwinds and horns and percussion, and there's a first chair player in every section, and that's the best player in each section. And when you're an entrepreneur starting out, you're the first chair player in every section, and you're making sure everything's done identical. It's the same. It's the Happy Meal effect. I call it. You go to a McDonald's anywhere in the country, and you know what the Happy Meal is going to look like. It's a red box, yellow handles with a cardboard hamburger inside. But if you really want to bust through the ceiling, you got to learn how to become a conductor, and you got to learn how to manage process and hire good people and inspire and articulate a vision and let them run, and now you're an orchestra conductor instead of the first chair player in every section. And it's a beautiful thing, and you can see businesses really scale. But to me, the best time to bring in outside equity is probably, because I can teach, someone just how to get out of the gates, get to $1 million, get to the first 10 million, and these should be no brainers. I realize the odds are stacked against you, but once you know the path and you know the methodology, it does really actually become quite attainable. And so as I think about that, it's, private equity starts at about 4 million in earnings. When you get to about the 4 million in earnings mark, you have a real company that can sell to a real private equity firm. And if it's a service business like I've been describing, you're probably looking at a $30 to $40 million exit at that point. Take 70 cents off the table, diversify your asset base, pay some taxes, invest elsewhere, roll 30 cents forward. Now I'm working with a partner. I'm using their checkbook, and I'm using their capital, unlimited capital and debt relationships so that I can scale that business now and accelerate growth. I start using mergers and acquisitions as tools. I start buying other companies. We talked about it. You mentioned the PE pyramid. There's 33 million small companies at the base of the pyramid just in the US. There's only 3,000 companies on the planet at the top that have $1 billion in revenue. So as we're getting bigger, we're climbing the pyramid, we're becoming rare. And as we're becoming rare, we're worth more money. And the multiple of earnings that our company will sell for grows exponentially as we get bigger and get rarer. And so, we're gonna get a lot of potential wealth building events, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they see exiting their business as kind of a one and done event. I'm going to build my business. I'm going to sell it. I'm going to get a wheelbarrow full of gold, and I'm going to walk out the door, and live life on the beach, for the rest of my days. And I'm thinking, oh man, you need to learn that selling your business is not the end of the journey. It's the first rest stop on the wealth creation highway. And I'm a guy who has sold the same business 5 times in 13 years and 4 months. That's my personal record. And so I'll tell you that, when I can sell my business, bring in capital like private equity, work alongside them, give them what they need, which is returns for their shareholders. And I get to take what I want, which is wealth creation, building a great company, cool culture where people love to work. And I can make many millionaires in my empire as I'm building it. It's like, this is where business gets fun. And so I tell everybody, you should never own a business with worth more than $100 million without having sold it, bringing in institutional capital, and starting to work with other people's money, OPM, other people's money. And for people who think, I can't, I'm God's gift, man. I start the business. If I sell it, I don't have control. I don't want to be around that. Remember 2 names, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. So the 2 wealthiest dudes on the planet, and they own 13%, 12.9 and like 10.3 or something like that. They are the richest people on the planet, and they only own 10 to 13% of their businesses. And so we can be minority shareholders working alongside institutional investors and continue to make a lot of money on our journey. So don't think of a sale as being a one and done. And the right time to sell is, the first right time to sell is when I've got about 4 million in earnings. You can't sell them smaller. I helped an entrepreneur earlier this year. He was in the junk removal, like 1-800 got junk. He had $1 million in earnings, and we sold it for 8.8 million. So
nice multiple.
You can ring the bell, on a small company, but I like to get a little bigger, make a little bit more. 8 million is a good number. I just like 40 better, and I like 100 better than 40. So
I too like the bigger number. It does sound a lot better. You've taken us on quite a journey. Everything from, I have this idea, this inception that I want to get into business, different types of steps and practical, tactical things that people can do to kind of improve their business, all the way through when should I even start considering selling, the exit plan at the beginning and what that exit should look like towards the end, through capital, through mergers and acquisitions. Like, that's the whole gauntlet of entrepreneurship. And through it all, I kind of also noticed that most of the limitations on every single one of those phases are what that single entrepreneur is able to accept as their reality, whether they're capable at the beginning, the work that they got to put in when they're wearing all the hats at the first seat in their orchestra, to, getting the mentorship and the help and the partnership and allowing the access of other people's knowledge to be part of that team. Where do you think people fall off? Because it seems like science all the way through, and yet our own mindsets seem to be blocking us at every step of the way.
If we don't know where we're going, if we don't have a destination in mind, how do we get there? And so people wander, and here's the biggest problem. People waste time. Rich people can buy anything they want except time.
True.
I can't buy time, and so when I don't have a plan, when I don't have a strategy, when I don't know what success looks like, I waste a lot of time. I could wake up in 10 years, as you said, when we were starting out, it's like, I may have millions in revenue and I don't make a penny. And it's like, so I've wasted years of my life doing something that didn't yield the fruit, because I didn't know how. I didn't have a why. I didn't have a how. And so when I lack the direction, or the knowledge, I'm not going to be successful. It's dumb luck. And that's why the odds are so stacked against entrepreneurs. But when I open up my eyes, I open up my brain and say, I can learn from other people, and I start absorbing all of the knowledge that's out there in today's world, it's readily available. It's a Google search away. It's so many things on the planet. But I'll tell you that it does take hard work. It takes dedication. Nobody wants to work. Everybody wants to just wake up, be a TikTok star, a social media influencer. I'm going to make millions. But what if my toilet's broke? Someone's got to come fix it, and I can't fix it, on TikTok. And so there are still people in the world who have to work. And it doesn't take new ideas. And here's something I'll tell you. I have a lot of friends who are billionaires, and I sit around, and I look at their house, and I'm like, huh. And I look at them and I'm talking to them and I'm like, huh, they're not any different than you or I. They're not something special. They didn't wake up on some billionaire, DNA train and magically they get someplace where we can't. We have to learn how to do it. We have to be dedicated to the journey and the result. And we have to get off our backsides, and we got to be doers, not dreamers. And if you're committed to that, boy, I'll tell you what, even failure, we learn so much more from failure in life than we do from actual success. And so I'll tell you that if people are committed to the journey, wealth happens. There is no, I tell people you could, kind of like Trading Places, this movie from like the 1980s with Eddie Murphy. It's like, I could take anybody and teach them, and I could get them to become a decamillionaire worth more than 10 million in a few years, and teach them how to be worth more than 30 million, which is what we call ultra wealthy here in the US, in less than 5 years. And if they stick to the journey, they'll be a 9-figure entrepreneur. This is not hard to do. We just have to be open to coaching, listening, to the methodologies, and we have to get off our asses and we have to do it.
That's it.
And start living it.
That's it. That's what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. I heard another saying that was phenomenal. I mean, and this is, I'm sure, how you feel. And if you feel this way, this is one of the reasons why you need to reach out to Adam and find out more about what he does. But if you find yourself, a coach will ask a client, what he thinks about his business career, and client replies back that he's been in business for the last 5 years, and the coach kind of replies back and says, well, have you been in business for 5 years, or have you been stuck repeating the same year of business 5 times? And I think that's kind of that feeling where, if you find yourself in that situation, you need a little help. You need to find people like Adam who are helping you go from where you are to where you want to be, so you're not stuck repeating that same year of business over and over again. Adam, if people want to reach out and find out more about what you do, learn from someone who's been there, done that multiple times, how can they get a hold of you?
Hey, you know what? I'm probably most responsive on LinkedIn. To be honest with you, I get thousands of emails a day. On LinkedIn, I'm really active, and I try really hard. I don't have a team of people in my LinkedIn managing it, and I try really hard to be responsive to people who reach out to me through LinkedIn. So my website, LinkedIn, any other way, my contact information's out there. I don't hide. You get me. You reach out to me, you get me. It's not a team of admin. It's not my publicist, although they help, if a new book's come out or something. But to be honest with you, it's me. So reach out to me on LinkedIn. I love to engage with people out there.
Perfect. All right, ladies and gentlemen, social is at Adam Coffey. That's Coffey. For those of you who are listening at home, Adam Coffey. And like I said, look, you're in business because you want to grow. You want to take your business to that next level. I always equate it to buying that lottery ticket. You buy the lottery ticket, and then you have this dream of what would happen if you had the money, if you had the time, if you had all those things. And I'm sure that's what you were thinking when you first got into business, but you find yourself stuck in a plateau. You find yourself doing the same thing over and over again and not getting a different result. You need help from the outside. You need help from somebody who's already done that. So make sure you guys check out Adam's website, adamcoffey.com, adamcoffey.com. Adam, thank you very much for being on the program today. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace. We're out.
It's over. Go home.
Is your business in need of marketing? Try starting a podcast, but not just any podcast. Podcast like a pro. We can show you how to take your business from being invisible to becoming a brand people trust. Go to www.businessbros.biz to get